Welcome back to the Unwarranted Podcast. You have me, myself, D, my brother Manny here.
Hold on, because
Yeah.
it's like this headphone thing is like really like it's like tugging. Like when I turn, it like pulls to like the right of my ear. Trying to like you don't got full range of head movement. All right, now you can kick us off.
All right. Welcome back to the Unwarranted Podcast. You have me, myself, D, my brother Manny here.
Let's get it.
You know, once again, thank you guys for, all the subscribers.
Yeah,
We're seeing the growth. We're seeing the interaction. We're reading, I'm reading your comments,
Yeah.
negative or positive. Thank you for all the interaction. Just want to firstly say, continue to subscribe, hit the like button, share,
yeah,
continue to, especially if you're enjoying the content that you're receiving from us,
yeah.
first and foremost. Secondly, just want to point out that we do have a TikTok at Unwarranted Podcast. We have the YouTube at Unwarranted Podcast, and we have both of our IGs that you can continue to
Yeah,
catch
make
some
sure
of
you go
our
over there.
shorts and reels.
What's your IG handle?
UW Media.
All right, and then Emmanuel Driscoll.
Yes, sir. So in today's episode, we're going to be starting out with The Compound Effect. The Compound Effect is by Darren Hardy, a self-help book that advocates for the power of small, consistent actions to create significant results in one's life. It provides practical strategies for achieving success and building a fulfilling life. The Compound Effect shows us how to make lasting changes by paying attention to the smallest decisions we make and their cumulative effects on us. It's about the slow burn, not the big gesture. Author Darren Hardy teaches us that by accepting responsibility for our own lives, we can change our habits and carve out a life that is more successful, fulfilling, and happy. Let's get started.
Man, I'm
So,
excited.
yeah. So, kicking things off, chapter 1, it started out with the compound effect in action. Um, I'll just kick it off myself. I'll tell you right now, man, slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. This chapter 1, he really kind of kicked things off with letting you know just that. So think about, in your own personal lives, a lot of the times that we want to jump the gun, we want to get things to happen overnight. We want to get things to happen very quickly. We want to get things to happen snap of our finger. However, life doesn't work like that. And in reality, it is the small little things that we do day by day that, sometimes I feel like people forget. People forget that, they're making decisions every day. They're doing something every day. And if you're not in the active thought to what that decision is that you're making or doing, then the compound effect is always working. So if you're not aware, then that's where you need to start off, honestly. Um, yeah, the magic of the compounding penny. I'm sure you guys have all heard that. One of the stories that if you had a penny, you double it every day for a month, and what that would total out to by the end of the month. It's just a small example of what the compound effect really is. And me personally, I apply that to my life right now. Like, for example, I quit smoking cigarettes and I've stopped smoking weed. And those two things, well, I quit cigarettes years ago. I recently stopped smoking weed. And why I did that, though, was just for a better health and a clearer head, clearing up my mindset, clearing up my ability to think and process the things that I have to do on a daily basis. I have a child now. I have more responsibilities, and I'm just looking to be the best person I can be, the best version of myself that I can be, and setting that standard. So the compound effect genuinely helps with those things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, man, I feel that. I think you alluded to something there when you kind of touched on getting your mind right and that being a reason for you quitting smoking. And that's what this show is all about, ultimately. Getting your mind right. That's something that we're both very, very experienced in based on our backgrounds. And truthfully, when it comes to the compound effect, I think before even moving past chapter 1, that I really just want to give a shout out to the author. I mean, Darren Hardy is definitely someone that you can look at um, as a guidepost on your journey to your own version of success, whatever that may be for you. His background is not uh, it's not handed down, it's not inherited, and I think that's ultimately what sets the compound effect apart from a lot of other books in the personal development space. That a lot of the authors are kind of out of touch with their audience, but he's very in tune with it, and you can hear that in his background of him having a dad who was a college coach, football coach, and his dad being so strict in discipline and routine, and that's something we're gonna touch later in one of the segments today. But ultimately, just his the his way of communicating the information to you in a way that's very simple for you to understand is really stellar. And yeah, his dad being a college coach and him being strict on discipline and routine, and him uh, transmuting that into his own life. And you hear it in the book as he talks about how his schedule was set up as a Fortune 500 CEO's schedule to mimic a Fortune 500 CEO's schedule by the time he was 16, which led to him being a millionaire by the time he was 21, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Millionaire by the age of 20. I don't want to butcher that. Definitely go ahead and double check. But being successful by the age of 21 and him continuing that success into where he is now. So ultimately, this book is just definitely a much a big read, and I highly recommend it to anybody that is just starting out in personal development. I mean, this book is very important, even to the both of us, in the sense of I remember reading this book 4 or 5 years ago. Not mistaken, 4 or 5 years ago. And at the end of it, it tells you to share it to 5 of your closest, 5 of the people you want to grow as well. And through reading that, I remember passing it to D, and I passed it to 4 other people, mind you, 4 other people. And I guess they still have that book to this day, but a few months after that, I hit everybody up. Nobody had read it. And fast forward a year, I got a FaceTime from D, and from there it was. I mean, I don't think it's been nothing but personal development conversations and growing and growth and what book is next and a bunch of other conversations. So when I tell you this book is definitely personal to me, it's very, very personal. And it's just ultimately a good read. I promise you, if you read this book, it will have you rethinking some very minute decisions that you make on a day-to-day that will actually transform your life. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, wonderful. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I definitely gotta say that he did introduce me to the book, and it did open up a lot of doors for me at that time. But heading into chapter 2, which is choices. In chapter 2, spoke on just that, choices, and one of the key things I want to bring up from chapter 2, he had the formula for lucky in there. It says the complete formula for getting lucky is preparation, which is personal growth, plus attitude, belief, and mindset, plus opportunity, good things coming your way, plus action, doing something about it.
Wow.
I could tell you right now, in my personal life right now, I find myself running into more opportunity because of this very formula. All right. First, it starts off with preparation, right? You're preparing for what the unknown. You don't know the specific opportunity that may come. You may have a plan. You may have something that you're working towards. However, that preparation will have you prepared for many opportunities that can come your way. Same way if like you're a basketball player, for example. And okay, I'm preparing for the game winner. However, I'm still going to have the opportunity to show my talents all 4 quarters, you know? So I think that one was like one of the biggest things that stuck out to me initially when reading the book. And then the second part of that was attitude. Come on, man. Right up here in the head, okay? Your attitude towards a lot of the things that you have going on in your life is extremely important. Extremely important. I cannot stress that enough. The wrong attitude can alter everything. Everything. It's no different than you can't put a good apple in a bad batch of apples, and the bad batch will not turn into a good batch. You know, that good apple is just gonna become a part of that bad batch, right?
Facts.
So, and you can't have a a very healthy good batch and throw in one bad apple, now you're gonna, turn that good batch into a bad batch. So at the end of the day, you have to have like-minded individuals, people who are also positive in your type of thinking around you to continue that growth. And that third part, opportunity. You know, what the book doesn't say, but I tell you right now, God brings opportunity, right? So you get right with God, you get right in that head, that attitude, you're gonna start to bring that opportunity to yourself, okay? And then in the last part, action. Probably the most important part, action. Waking up and doing something about it, okay? We wake up each day, we make choices each day. Become aware of your choices. Become aware of your choices. Cannot stress that enough. Like, I mean, whatever it is, whatever small decisions you're making, what you're eating, with the air you're breathing, what you're seeing in your sight, how you're starting your day. I've learned to start my day by not opening social media and opening the Bible. Start my day with a little bit of prayer, being thankful. Sometimes I struggled with the part of prayer that would be, what do I really pray for, right? So what I did first was just be thankful, right? And just continue to go over the things that I'm thankful for, right? Breathing, seeing, hearing, my child, his mother, my parents, my siblings, the home I live in, the vehicle I drive, my income. Just be thankful first and foremost, and then you'll start to curate what else you need out of that, beyond that, And, continuing on, I must say, consistency, a couple things I got done out of that chapter. Consistency improves yourself. Attitude. Luck is all around us, right? Blessings are all around us. You just have to start to vibrate on that wavelength, right? And, tell me, Manny, what'd you get out of chapter 2?
Chapter 2 is crucial, man. I mean, I just want to touch on what you said a little bit there. I mean, when you broke down the luck formula, I thought that was very important, because a lot of people don't feel like luck is even real, or that they're unlucky. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
in what you just broke down, it was very clear to see that you create your own luck. Which, you notice how a lot of successful people say that, right?
Yeah.
You create your own luck.
Yeah, they say that.
You know what else successful people say? The fact that they're self-made. Only the successful people admit that they're self-made, man. And you can kind of see in what you were saying, man, a lot of that is attitude, And it's crazy that that's in the middle part, obviously, but I love how it was structured when you broke down the formula. Attitude was second to being prepared. Man, how crucial is that? Then opportunity comes after that. Well, the reason why attitude, to me, when you said action was most important, I might have to disagree with you there. I think attitude is most important, because before you get to action, if your mind is not right, if your attitude is not geared towards success, or that you could be successful, opportunity is going to drive right past you every time, no matter how prepared you are, no matter how great you think you are, no matter how great your talents are. Because how often is it that the most talented people aren't in the most talented positions?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
So, yeah, man, I thought that was really crucial on what you said, but let's spend a little bit of time talking about that. You know what? The day you graduate from childhood to adulthood is the day you take full responsibility for your life. I thought that was very, very crucial, because there are a lot of people who claim to be adults who are still children. They still blame other people, other situations, other circumstances, past relationships, opportunities that they missed. They blame everything but themselves. Now, something you notice from the second you start to get your mind right, the first thing you notice is, you start to take responsibility for everything in your life. And I think that's vital to you getting out, or to you just getting your mind right. That's vital to me. But I think what stops people from doing that, and this is actually a statistic by the New York Post, so the average American will make 2,190 excuses per year. 2,190 excuses per year. That's not the kicker, though. You know what the kicker is?
What's that?
Out of 2,000 Americans, the average person makes 5 excuses daily. Now, as I list these off, tell me. Actually, you don't have to tell me, because obviously this is true. But what out of these 5 hit home to you? Because I've said each of these 5 before.
Okay.
Number 1, I'm too tired. Some people just said that today. Let's be honest. Some people just said that today. I don't have enough money.
Mm.
I don't have enough time. That's the top three. That's the top three. I'm too tired. I don't have enough money, and I don't have enough time. Let's round it out. It's too inconvenient. Some people say that when it comes to reading books, it's too inconvenient. I can't fit it in. I'm too forgetful.
Mm.
Man, how do you feel about that?
I feel like it's true. It's true. I've said all five of those several times. Probably said some of them today. I know I said some of them today. However, sometimes we say things subconsciously because we get used to it. And I still did it though by continuously to have that action, because I can adjust that attitude in a matter of moments, and I could continue to have action in a matter of moments. At this point, because of just where I am in my journey, I just know like there's never really an excuse, and there's nothing to it but to do it, as my dad always told me. So just get back on the horse, get back at it. At the end of the day, you could have not woke up today. You wouldn't have had these problems anyway. So just get back up on the horse and get back at it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think action can circumvent a lot of problems. But I think all of those I just listed really affects the attitude in terms of I'm too tired, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, it's too inconvenient, I'm too forgetful. As being the top 5 excuses, I think that truly affects people's attitude. If you wake up in the morning and it's 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and your first thought is I'm too tired, let's see how much action you then go through the rest of your day with. Because the problem is I feel like a lot of people think that, and this is a big part of getting your mind right, though, is that circumstances dictate their life, not the other way around. So, and for anybody who was testing the math there, 2,190, that's 5 excuses times 365 days a year.
Yeah, and another key thing that he pointed out in the chapter 2 was tracking. He says that every successful person is a tracking person, right? And that kind of correlates with Manny was just saying. So I start to track when I make up these excuses. I start to track a lot of these little things in my day-to-day life, right? Because, he says to track your behavior for at least a week, just a week. Try it out. See what that does for you, right? And even track when you don't track. Remember that, because that's, we fall back into that. I don't got time to write something down. Crazy. You can even speak it to your phone. Track your progress and missteps. What is simple to do is also simple not to do, right? It's like he already knew you were going to try to fail.
Yeah.
He says to track time you spend improving a skill. Think about that. How much time have you taken out to improve a skill that you may have, a skill that, because even in the Bible, God talks about don't worry about your flaws. I'll handle that. So what you should be focused on is being better at what you're good at, and not getting comfortable at the fact that you're good at it.
Facts.
Hard work will always outdo talent when talent doesn't work hard. We all know that.
Facts.
Know how well you are doing at any moment, right? So that just goes kind of back to that awareness that I keep speaking on. The more you become aware to yourself, the better your life will be. Like it says, all winners are trackers. Tracking is not easy, but it is simple and anyone can do it. Becoming conscious of your actions, begin to shape them. Focus on small improvements. Most people won't even notice them. A winning horse only wins by a nose. It's not 10 times better, but it gets 10 times the prize money. Take a walk. Save 10% of your income every month. Start now. Track.
Yeah, man, I think it's crucial. I think it's very crucial. The funny part is when you said that, I was staring right at the excuses list, and I'm like, well, somebody's gonna say they're too tired, they don't have enough time, or it's too inconvenient.
Yeah,
and that's the one I really want to spend some time on is that it's too inconvenient. Man, you notice these are all attitude changes when you have to get your mind right, because everything you just alluded to was very, very solid. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to tracking, tracking really can change your life. It can be, I mean, all people who work out definitely know how important tracking is. You know what I'm saying? In terms of you tracking your calories, you tracking your macros. Did you hit this for the day? Did you hit your protein for the day? You have to track all of those things. But again, most people say it's too inconvenient to track, and that's why most people are out of shape. You know, um, but you know, kind of moving on from that. Ultimately, you know, to kind of sum up this chapter or sum up this segment. Day by day, your choices will shape your actions until they become habits, where practice then makes permanent. So, as D alluded to in the very, very beginning, make smart choices. Think about the choices that you make. Because ultimately, every choice that you make will add up over time, and it will either put you in the negative or put you in the positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And moving into chapter 3, which was right
Habits.
habits. What you said right there towards the end, which was perfect. Pulling up sapling of trees, bigger sapling in a full-grown tree. Same as stopping bad habits. The longer you have a habit, the deeper the roots grow, and the harder they are to uproot. We are what we repeatedly do, Aristotle. So he kind of kicked that off in that chapter. Um, he related it to nature, which I love because nature, if you look at nature, you see a lot of what we are and what we're not. So, because even God spoke on that, like, look at nature and study it.
Yeah.
That's what made Moses, not Moses, but Solomon, who he is. He paid a lot of attention to nature, right? So, going off of that, I just noticed like you got to uproot some things, and when you start uprooting stuff in your life, you realize how many bad seeds, how many things that you did that were just awful to your life. And it's you have this compound effect. So no, just deciding tomorrow that I'm no longer going to smoke doesn't mean that my lungs are going to be perfectly fine in 24 hours.
Facts.
However, starting is starting is almost more important than finishing, because in reality you never really finish. But it's so important to just start that new compounded out effect in your life. At the end of the day, time is going to keep going by. So as time continues to go by, what are the choices? What are the habits you are now creating in your life? What are these new seeds you are planting in your life? What were the habits that you had to uproot up out of your life? So, just take that with a grain. No, don't take that with a grain of salt. Take that thought, take that thought in, and seriously consider it. The main thing we want to do in this podcast is bring the type of valuable information that, like myself, like Manny, can retain that information. And I have to say, habits is a huge one, right? And just the way the book is set up, he's bringing you to where you need to be. Obviously, what was it, choices. You know what I'm saying? Now we're off to habits. You see what I'm saying? You got to start making choices to create habits, right? So just keep that in
Facts.
mind. Keep that in mind. Give me something stood out for you for the chapter.
Man, everything you just said was factual. I think ultimately the most important thing you kind of said there was right in the beginning when you alluded to the oak tree and the roots. You know what I'm saying? It being so difficult to pull up a root that's grown really really big. Well, if you've been doing something for 5 or 10 years, that's a really big root in your life. You have set up unconscious disciplines around doing that habit, whether it's smoking, drinking, sex, literally anything that you've done repeatedly for years in a specific way has become so unconscious, and it will be damn near impossible for you to uproot that. And it really hits home for what it's like to get your mind right. Ultimately, when it comes to getting your mind right, what you want to remember is that it's a slow process. It's not a decision overnight. And, well, it is a decision overnight, but it's not a change overnight that's so drastic that it's like, boom, you wake up the next day and my mind is right. I'm now thinking the way I'm supposed to think. Well, you haven't thought the way you were supposed to think for the past 5 to 10 years. That's another habit. It's habitual for you not to think right. You know what I'm saying? So you want to really zone in As D kind of alluded to, going back and then now to habits, you want to zone in on the choices that you make. You want to zone in on the habits that you have, and you want to track those things. I'm really glad you brought up tracking, because tracking was not something I was thinking about saying. So I'm glad you brought up tracking. And you want to begin to track these things, and slowly but surely you will notice your mind will start to alter, and you will start to think so much better, and your mind will be in such a better space. And man, put it in the comments if ever you've been in a situation where your mind wasn't right and now it is right. Put it in the comments, DM us. You know what I'm saying? Like we love hearing about people who are turning their lives around, or who have turned their lives around, because it's so rare nowadays. But to get into habits, as you alluded to, we are what we repeatedly do. You know, a daily routine built on good habits is the difference that separates the most successful among us from everyone else. Right? Now, here's a Harvard business statistic: 92% of highly productive people follow planned routines. Being productive is not about doing more, but about doing things in an efficient manner. This is the difference from someone who wakes up at 4 a.m. so they can hit the gym, have their cup of coffee, write their notes for the day, have their day planned out and ready to go by 7, and the person who gets up at 7 and says, I'm going to hit the gym at some point today. This is the difference between the two people. One, they're not doing more, they're just doing it more efficiently than you, or than the other person. I'm not going to say than you and talk about you, but than the other person. Now, here's a funny thing, because everybody always wants to talk about, like, oh, you know what I'm saying, work-life balance. I need a work-life balance. I need this. I need that. Well, here's the funny part about routines. Having a daily routine creates structure and leads to less stress and greater concentration, improved work-life balance, and more confidence in your ability to reach your goals. Now, goals is going to be something we touch here in a little bit. But just take a moment to set that in, because I'm a person where I do actually have a pretty solid routine. I'm working at getting better, and I would tell you the first thing I noticed from setting up routines is that all of a sudden a lot of stress went away, a lot of worries went away. It didn't matter what time of the day it was. I knew exactly what I was going to be doing. If I come home at 10 p.m., I'm gonna now start to look at notes, read, do some of these things. Right? Completely changed. Now I have time. All of a sudden, I have time in my Saturday to call up 4 or 5 family members and ask them how they're doing. Or because I got the time, because I made time. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think ultimately, you know, that's really crucial. And you're going to notice, because this book is set up, as you just alluded, so clearly and so precisely, you can go back to the choices statistic, and the reason why you're too tired, or why you don't have enough time, or things are too inconvenient, is because there's no routine set up around it. You know, so ultimately, I just wanted to leave you with that when it came to habits. I do have another point that I'll touch. I actually got a few other points. It's actually kind of crazy, but I'm gonna let D. What would you have as well for habits?
Oh man, I was just gonna also include the one thing that I really enjoyed about going over this book was the slightest adjustments to your daily routine can dramatically alter your life. So he gave an example of this. One bad habit can put you miles off course, right? So, for example, an airplane that is only 1% off course flying from Los Angeles to New York will end up 150 miles from the destination.
Wow.
1%.
Wow.
1%, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going straight. I'm just going 1%.
You can't even physically show the camera what that 1% is.
Man, you know,
Yeah.
it's just crazy, right? So just think about that in your life. 1% towards this bad habit can dramatically change the path that you're on,
Man.
right? I'm going to the gym every day, but I'm still choosing not to, keep my food in order.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just another small decision. You're making a decision to go to the gym. Make the decision to eat healthy.
Yeah.
You're making a decision to eat healthy. Make the decision to go for a walk.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of these things kind of go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
And he goes on to say, find your why power, right? It says your choices are only meaningful when you connect with them.
Yeah.
When you connect them to your desires and dreams.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to connect the two, right? So if I'm desiring to be the best version of me, and I'm literally dreaming of my life as that person, right? And thinking about what that life looks like, thinking about who I am, what I'm doing, how I'm living. I no longer think about what I have, other than what I have now, but what do those things look like when I'm at my best, right?
Yeah.
So you find that why power, and for me, that is my why power, right? I just want to be my best self, something that I always pray for in my prayers. That I just want God to give me the willpower and the strength to be the best version of me, because that's exactly what God wants for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, just keep that in mind. Your choices are only meaningful when you connect them to your desires and dreams.
Mm. Mm. But what's choices without goals? What's habits without goals? I'm a man of my word. I told you we was gonna touch goals, bro. We're cooking right now too. Goals, whatever you vividly imagine, desire, really believe, and act upon, must ultimately come to pass. Let me reread that one more time so you can fully grasp that. Whatever you vividly imagine, desire, really believe, and act upon, must ultimately come to pass. Let's go back to Harvard, because they're really touching some points here. 84% of all people don't set goals. Well, that's why most people don't reach goals. They don't even have goals.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? 13% of all people set goals but don't achieve. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm gonna touch that in a minute. 3% of all people set and achieve their goals. All right, let's focus on that 3%, because let's 97% of people don't know what they're doing when it comes to goals. So let's see what the 3% knows that we don't know. Here's what separates the 3% from the 13%. 3% have a plan on how to achieve their goals.
Mm.
So you're telling me the biggest difference between someone who achieves, sets, and does not achieve, someone who sets and achieves versus someone who sets and does not achieve, is that 3% of those people actually come up with a plan to achieve them. That's
Hey.
insane. That's insane.
No, it's the truth.
I'm gonna touch goals a little bit later too as well when we break into our last segment for the day. So stay tuned for that. A little
Yeah.
bonus for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because he even said you must look beyond the motivation of monetary and material goals, because material things cannot recruit your heart, soul, and guts into the fight.
Mm.
Focus on fulfillment and not just achievement. Success without fulfillment is failure.
Hey, real quick, now that you mentioned fulfillment, let me touch back on some, because a lot of people also say, "All right, I don't feel fulfilled." Well, one study from Harvard showed that people who have routine in their life, it makes them feel like their lives have more meaning.
I
Mm.
believe that. I truly believe that. I mean, that's probably why they, send you to school the way they do as you grow up, because
Yeah,
they're trying to give you some form of routine,
yeah,
establish that in your life from an early age.
man,
My son has a routine. He has to go to bed by a certain time.
yeah,
He needs to get up at a certain time. The
mm.
second he goes out of his routine, he's not feeling it.
Yeah,
Not feeling it. He's like, nah, let me just play with my toys, man. I don't like you know what, Dad? You blew it today.
yeah,
I stayed up too late. I slept in too long. I don't want to do the stuff I usually do. You know?
yeah.
So yeah, no, that's heavy on truth. But
That's awesome though, man, because after you've established routine, you've done them over and enough time, you gain momentum.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Then it starts to feel easier for you. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah, as Manny was just alluding to there, chapter 4 is momentum, right? And that's Newton's first law of physics, first law of inertia. Objects in motions tend to stay in motion. Now, how to gain momentum? First, make new choices based on your goals and core values. Second, putting those choices to work through positive behaviors. Third, repeating those healthy actions long enough to establish new habits. Fourth, building routines and rhythm into your daily discipline. Fifth and final, staying consistent over a long enough period of time. Years. You've lived years. 20, 30, 40 of them, right?
Yeah.
So come on, buck up and make something consistent over that same time that you've already lived it. You drink water every day, right?
Mm.
Most
Don't
people
even
don't think about it. Well, I do. You do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people I know do. You know what I'm saying? You don't even think about it for the most part. You drink water every day. No different than if you start to add in some better choices and habits that you start to indulge in those every day. You start to take on the obstacle of not doing the very thing that, like, for example, some people like myself, I don't drink. But that's not a brag. It's not hard for me not to drink. It
Yeah.
was harder for me not to smoke,
Yeah.
for example, right?
Yeah.
So that's a daily choice. That's a daily, you want to get to the point where you're no longer resisting it and you're embracing it. And it's just how you live, you
Yeah.
know? So you have to look at your environments. You have to look at, you know, taking yourself away from the situations that can bring you back to your bad habits. Sometimes that's the people you're around. That could be your own family. That could be, anything. It could be your job. A problem I had was smoking. If I had a job at a restaurant, well, how do you get a break? You get a smoke break.
Facts.
Hey, well, I don't work at the restaurants now. I had to take a break from that so I could break this chain in my life.
Yeah.
So, and that was just the 5 steps to creating momentum.
Yeah, man, that's crucial. I think momentum is a quick one. Is a really quick chapter to kind of internalize, because it's very simple.
Yeah.
You make good choices. You put them in habit form. So you create a routine around it. You do it enough time consistently. You gain momentum. Now it becomes easier for you to do this. Ultimately. But I will touch on that Newton's law of inertia real quick and kind of put it in everyday form so people can understand how this law actually affects them. This is why achieving your first big milestone in life, whether it be a great body, a large bank account, this is why it's so difficult. It's because when you start, you are an object at rest, meaning you don't have the body or you don't have the bank account. And now you have to build up momentum. You're trying to become a person in motion, and basically you're going against the grain. So I feel like that just so you can kind of understand again, as I touched on before, in terms of the getting your mind right part, just take it slow. It's a day-to-day process to it, and in enough time you will gain momentum. But if you've never read a book before, never listened to a positive audio, never even thought about your daily routine, never thought about going to the gym, never thought about doing things that get your mind right, understand that this is a difference from your day-to-day life, meaning now you have to implement books. You've never done that before. It's not simple when you're first starting out to sit down and read for 15 minutes. It may be easy for one of us now to sit down and read for 30 minutes or an hour, you know what I'm saying, or continue to read, or just to grab a book or to turn on a positive article, because we've done it enough times. But there were points before I had momentum in creating these habits. I promise you, there were points where I would read. I would set a goal to read every day for 15 minutes. When that 15-minute mark hit, I would hit the stop. I would hit stop on the timer and immediately turn on some sort of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something you just gain. And, honestly, however you build this habit out, just make sure you build the habit so you can have momentum. Meaning, like, if you've never read a book before, the first time you open up a book, it's not going to be the simplest thing to you just sit there and do it every day and try and make it a lifestyle choice now. So set a goal, 15 minutes a day. And 15 minutes a day should allow you to get through 10 pages. That times however many times 30 days in a month, 31 days in a month, should allow you to go through 1 to 2 books. If you actually do 15 minutes, you should be able to go through 10 to 15 pages in that time period. You should be able to go through 1 to 2 books per month. That was something that helped me kind of get on track when it came to reading, was understanding, like, if I actually stick to the routine, I would start to fly through these books. The more books you go through, I promise you, the different perspectives you will then take to life, But ultimately, biggest thing is just having that book in front of you, to putting the phone away. There are some times where it's like you go through the whole day not reading, not listening to anything positive, and it might be like 1, 2 in the morning. You had a long night. Like, I don't really want to read right now. But be accountable to yourself, as we touched on choices and habits. The day you graduate from childhood to adulthood is the day you take 100% responsibility. Be accountable for the goal you set around reading. And ultimately, if you got to stare at one page for 15 minutes, which I've definitely done before, just to say you read, just say you read for 15 minutes, you do what you got to do, because now I can fly through a book in a matter of, man, it just depends on the book. It could be a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, you know what I'm saying, for some of the longer range books. But,
yeah. I will say also, too, just in general in the book, he speaks on, don't just try to make a big switch. No, make a realistic one, right? Like Manny was just saying, in like the 15 minutes, you got 15 minutes, right? You got 15 minutes. So don't just say I'm gonna start reading a book a day. You know,
Don't.
you might get off with it for a day or two, but hey, man, in reality, you need to do something you can do for years. You know, don't just say I'm gonna start working out every single day when you haven't been working out for years. Start off with I can work out 2 3 days a week, and I can walk 6 days out the week in general, right? So start out with something that's attainable. Be realistic with yourself and build off of that from there. But
I will say that's one of the biggest reasons people don't make it through their New Year's resolutions is because it's set way too big. We're going to touch something a little bit later. Please stay tuned for that because we're really going to start touching a lot more personal and get a lot more intimate now that we're in 2024. We're going to start,
yeah,
But honestly, to go to your point, man, I just want to say real quick, honestly, I think what stops people from choices, habits, and from ultimately it creating momentum is the influences, people
yeah,
that surround them,
yeah.
you know?
So, and hopping into chapter 5 now, which is influences. So, I like to kick it off with external forces have subtle control over our lives. Every person is affected by three kinds of influences. One, input, what you feed your mind.
Yeah.
Two, association, the people whom you spend time with. And three, environment, your surrounding influences. One, right? So, garbage in, garbage out. We can protect and feed our mind. Don't drink dirty water, you know? So, it's just take it with those three: input, associations, and environment. Be aware. You see how, like I said, from chapter 1 now down to chapter 5, it's only 6 chapters, but you see now where it's like a step by step, right? And you're getting down to the nitty-gritty of your life, of what you're doing, of how you're living, of how you're moving, of what's going on around you. And I keep coming back to awareness, because to me, that was the most significant thing that I had to do myself, was just be aware. Stop moving so subconsciously and not being aware of like like you're making so many choices. So many. You're making so many choices. You have so many thoughts that sometimes you just freeze and let time drift by,
Facts.
right? Go back and check out Outwitting the Devil. You let time drift by and you're not understanding that that is huge right there, that you
Yeah.
could have been taking more action,
Come on now.
that you could have been, setting some new goals. It's okay
Yeah.
if you don't hit your goals, man. Write some new ones and start fresh, but you gotta keep going, keep
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Don't let life dictate. Don't let life. Well, no, what is it? What's that quote? Would you rather be at war with yourself and at peace with the world, or at peace with yourself and at war with the world? Right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you want that peace with yourself. You don't want to be concerned with what I think about you or what Manny thinks about you. That don't matter.
Facts.
It truly doesn't. I don't care what you think about me. Okay.
Facts.
I've read some comments that if I cared about what y'all thought, I wouldn't be sitting back down in here.
Facts.
So at the end of the day, I could care less. I'm
Mhm.
focusing in on my life, my decisions, my environments, what I need to do, what I have to do for me. Because at the end of the day, ain't nothing about to move if I ain't moving. That's just the truth of the matter, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I feel that. I really do feel that. Yeah, man. That was really good. That was really good, man. Um, yeah. That was really good. Input, association, and environment, man. This one's really crucial. This one honestly hits home for me in a lot of ways. Influences, especially when we talk about input, association, environment, what you take into your mind, the people that surround you. I can't wait to touch association and the environment, your surroundings. I'm gonna blow your mind with the statistic when I get to environment. Actually, not a statistic. My apologies. A study. It's actually very crucial. A study they did for 30 years. I'm going to touch that one in a second. But yeah, according to a report by the University of California, San Diego, the average American consumes 34 gigabytes of data and information every day.
Mm.
34 gigabytes of data and information every day. That's what's going into your mind. That's insane.
It
Let me put
is.
it in layman's terms for you so you can understand what 34 gigabytes of data and information is. That means you could stream every episode of Stranger Things. All right? That means you could scroll 94 hours on TikTok. And that means that you could play over 15,000 hours of Fortnite. That is the equivalent of 34 gigabytes of data and information that you consume into your mind. Now, I want to remind you, your brain's top agenda is survival. You're wired to seek out the negative. Out of all 34 gigabytes of information you consume, how much of it is constructive positivity? That's the question I'm asking to you. How much of it is constructive positivity? Let me remind you, your brain is wired to seek out the negative, basically. And you're taking in 34 gigabytes of data and information every day. If you are not intentional about taking in positive forms of information, I promise you, half of your day, if not 80% of your day, is either mindless or completely negative. Car crashes, fights, you know what I'm saying? Somebody almost dying, robberies, the news, you know what I'm saying? Or mindless entertainment. You know what I mean? This video on trying to what popular items on Amazon is there to pick up? Or does this item work? Does this item not work? Completely useless information that you're taking in every single day. You're not just taking in useless information, you're taking in 34 gigabytes of data and information. If you want to know why you feel so tired, why you feel so overwhelmed, why you feel like you can't get ahead, why you feel like life is against you, it's all because out of all the information data you're taking in every day, if you are not intentional about seeking out positive information, constructive positivity, it is likely to be negative because your brain on autopilot is designed to seek out the negative. I keep saying that so you can understand that a lot of information that you take in is negative by default because your brain finds negativity important. Media companies understand this. That is why they show certain things when they show them. And your brain is wired to go there.
Mm.
So that's my touch on input. You know, now when I move on to association, I'm gonna kind of sum this one up really quickly because we did do a compounder. We do have a video touching this just a little bit where I kind of brought this up. But when it comes to association, you have to understand who's good for you and who's not good for you. And the best way you could test it is with this 3-minute, 3-day rule that Darren Hardy put together when he said there are people you can spend 3 hours with but not 3 days, others you can spend 3 minutes with but not 3 hours. It is crucial for you to understand what person you can spend 3 hours with and one person you're supposed to only spend 3 minutes with. What person you can spend 3 days with and somebody that you can spend 3 weeks with. It is vital for you to pick that out. But as I just said before, when it comes to input, it's going to be crucial that you take into account what person do you walk away from feeling motivated and ready to attack the world, and what person do you feel drained from and like you just took in a bunch of garbage, as you alluded to.
Right.
But was there anything you want to touch when it came to associations?
No.
No. Now look, I'm gonna be honest with you. This study right here, jarring,
Okay.
jarring. I'm gonna start by saying this: changing your view changes your perspective. So, University of Johns Hopkins, they did a study. All right, they tracked 790 Baltimore kids from 1982 until 2010. That's damn near 3 decades. Particularly those who were in the disadvantaged settings. At 30 years old, half the people were at the same socioeconomic status as their parents. Of the children from low-income families, only 4% had a college degree at age 28, compared to 45% of the children from higher income backgrounds.
Mm.
It gets deeper. Only 33 children from low income moved into the high income bracket, while only 19 dropped to the low income bracket, a quarter of what was expected. So basically, they sum this up by saying the poor stayed poor and the well off stayed well off. You know, changing your view, change your perspective. Sometimes you have to get out of the environment you're in to see your dream fulfilled.
Yeah, man. And I must say, just in some of the final thoughts I have for that chapter, you got to think: do you surround yourself with engines or anchors? Right.
Mm.
That goes back to that environment. It goes back to honestly all of the points.
Yeah.
Just think about that. You chilling? Are you kicking it? Are you surrounding yourself? Are you having discussions with engines or anchors? Right? Some people are stuck where they are. Some people are set where they are. And it's not you to judge them. You move on. And it does not matter what they think about you. When
Mm.
you come to the realization that you need to be around some engines, that you need to be around some people that like to take action, move, right? It goes back to the previous chapter. An object that is in motion typically stays in motion,
Mm.
right? So, one thing that he suggested was to write down the names of people you spend most time with and their characteristics. And that's where he kind of led up into the 3 minute, 3 hour, 3 day scenario. So, sometimes you have to, realize that you need to, disassociate, limit associations, and expand associations. 3 minute people, start disassociating with that. If you're only a 3 minute person in my life, it's a reason. Third, third, the 3 hour limit association. Hey, kind of like Harry, for example. I don't need to talk to you every day, because sometimes you can rile me up. However, it is an important association to have because I learned from this individual. And then expand associations. Sometimes that 3 hour person needs to become a 3 day person. Establish a little quick business trip. Invite people that you feel are like minded, and let's have I forgot what they call it, but you can have one of these powwows where we can bring together new ideas. We can bring together, just new opportunities to one another, you know, and start to expand our associations at that point. So you have to just, once again, be aware and make better choices and make new habits out of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think that's vital.
Yeah. So moving into the final chapter, chapter 6, which was acceleration. So what I have jotted down for that one was biking up a hill. Lance, hold on. Biking up a hill. Lance Armstrong. Moment of truth, where you define who you are and who you are becoming. Growth and improvement live in moments of truth. A rider's real opponent is himself. Lance Armstrong, what do you do after you have done your best? Creates victories. Lou Holtz. Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Bad weather is perfect. Attacking weather because other riders don't like it. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Before I even go on, I might get that tattooed on me. I just love that doggone line.
Yeah.
Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Okay? And he went on to say, when you hit the wall is when you are separating your new self from your old self. Think about that. When you hit your head, I'm gonna just go home, man. Like, you guys are on some BS. Oh, excuses. This is too hard.
Yeah.
I'm too tired.
Yeah.
They start coming up, But instead, when you hit that wall, that's where you start to realize, become aware. You got the new you over here. You got the old you over here. You just hit the wall. Keep progressing. Stay steady. Stay consistent. That's why you don't want to make these things out to be big life-changing decisions overnight. You want to make a life-changing decision that's going to happen over the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, man. Tell me what you got out of chapter 6.
Man, chapter 6 will be really quick for me. I think you can see based on the title, this is what happens after you've compounded all of the points that we've previously mentioned. You accelerate. And when you open a gap and your competitors don't respond, it tells you they're hurting, and that's when you take them. Right? So I just want you to know that as you start to grow, as you start to get your mind right, you will notice that you begin to take gaps between the people that you once knew, people that you currently know, and overall where you're trying to get to. When you see that gap, when you notice you're speaking a certain way and people are not responding people don't feel like they know you anymore, people don't feel like you're the same person, that's when you've opened up a gap. Realize that. It does not mean that they are right. It does not mean that you need to go back to who they thought you were. It does not mean that you are in the wrong for bettering your life. That is a gap that has opened because you have decided to better yourself. So when you get to that point and you notice all of a sudden everybody that's around you, it's, man, that guy D is real different. All right, man, he's real different. All of a sudden, the people in the comments are like, yeah, that point's not making sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Where you guys getting this information from? You have opened up a gap between you and everyone else. That's when you have the lead, and that's when you really start to take real leaps and bounds. And that's really all I wanted to say with the acceleration chapter.
Yeah, man. The final question that we're going to go over is, in the year 2024, what do you believe is catering to people failing?
I'm gonna attack this 3 ways. I'm gonna attack this question 3 ways. First way I want to say is I want you all to succeed. But here's point number 1 for me: people aren't ready to change. All right, you want to know why are people failing in 2024? Why people failed in 2023? People failed in 2022, 2021. Why people fail in 2025, 2026? People aren't ready to change. They're just not. Now, I know that may not make sense to you, but there are 5 stages to change, right? First is pre-contemplation. You become aware, as you touched on awareness. This is a good part. This is very, very solid, mind you, if you're in this stage or if you're in any one of these 5 stages. You become aware that you're ready to change. And mind you, this is also not from the compound effect. We have now opened up a new separation. You become aware that you're ready that you need to make a change. This could be as simple as, in layman's terms, man, this suit isn't fitting the same way, or this isn't fitting the same way, or I'm not doing this the same way, or I could be doing this better. It's pre-contemplation. Contemplation point is step 2. You're thinking about making a change. This is I need to hit the gym. I think I can save money here in this area. This is when you start to contemplate how you can make a change. This is when you start to really thinking about making a change. Preparation. You touched on preparation in the chapter on choices earlier in our video for the compound effect, and I just thought that was really, really solid because preparation, this is when you start putting a plan together to make a change. This is very, 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 very important. This is the part where you are now separating yourself from, I think I need to make a change. I do need to make a change. You are now beginning to make a change. Point 4, action. This is when you make the change. This is when you start going to the gym. This is when you start saving money. This is the action. And then maintenance. This is number 5. And I thought this was really, 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 really crucial. This is when you determine how to maintain the change that you have now made. So 5 stages to change psychologically. 5 stages before you actually make a change. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. And I think, I believe when you get to the preparation standpoint is when things begin to change for you. This is probably just as important as the action stage. This is when you start looking up what gyms are around town, what banks can I put my money in, who has the best this, where can I get this. This is the preparation stage, and I don't want you to overlook this because some people listen to this maybe pre-contemplating making a change already, and you're just now becoming aware to something you need to change. I want to say congrats. You have now become aware to something that is not right in your life, and you actively want to do something about it, but you don't know where to start, nor are you giving it that much thought. There are some people contemplating making a change. These are people who have already been aware that they need to work out. They need to do something. They need to change something. You are now further than just being aware from it. You are really thinking about how you can make a change. Planning. If you're in the preparation stage of making a change, I just want to say congrats. Keep going. You are so, so, so close. This is the part of your life when you begin to say, how can I actually do this? Pen and pad next to you. Let me do this. Action. All the people that have started making a change in 2024 and are getting towards where they want to be at, I want to say keep going. It does not matter what's around you, what's next to you, what you're seeing. You are doing it. You are doing more than what 97% of people on this planet are doing about things in their life. I just want to say congrats. You are doing it. Keep going. Congratulations. Maintenance. This is for all the people who are maintaining a change they have recently made, meaning starting January 1st, you may have decided I'm going to the gym. And you actually went to the gym January 1st, and you've been doing that week to week, and you're staying consistent with your diet, and you're staying consistent with your health. I want to say, take it slow. You're doing it. Take it slow. Maintain, because that is going to make you accelerate. If you don't know what I mean by that, go back and look at the compound effect video. That is going to make you accelerate. You are going to open a gap between everybody else that's not doing what you're doing, and you're going to feel 10 times better in no time. So I want to state that as point one. I have two more things I want to touch, but I'm going to pass it off to D. D, why do you think people are failing in 2024?
Oh, you could have finished your points, but I'll just say I took mine from out of Think and Grow Rich, actually. I didn't want to just give you guys just some basic opinions, things I see, or maybe why I was failing at some things. I'm like, now let me pull from something that, really can garner some attention, So just know I pulled this straight from Think and Grow Rich, which is written by Napoleon Hill. The main causes of failure in life are poor environmental influences, the wrong mindset, bad habits, and a lack of motivation. He says that all these are reasons for failure and can be addressed if you identify which one applies to you and then create a plan for removing them, right? So just to go a little bit further, he goes on and says, you have unfavorable hereditary background. Some people like to put the blame on that. Oh, I'm just not big enough, or I'm just not strong enough, I'm just not fast enough to do that. That's cap. Lack of education. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's this thing called YouTube University. I don't know if you've heard of it. I don't know if you've heard, person listening. There's a university called YouTube University, and it has a lot of education on there. And just trust your intuition. You're gonna catch a guy like me and Manny who's providing valuable information, and I'll probably start listening to that person. Honestly,
yeah.
Education and information is extremely at our grasp, and that is probably something that we overlook now because of just how easy it is to attain. You look back hundreds of years ago. Getting information, getting your hands on a book, getting certain things was hard to come across.
Whew.
So we're just too comfortable with the thought of, I can just look it up, I can grab it, I can this. But you're not.
And you die when you get too comfortable.
Exactly. He said ill health, poor environmental influences during childhood. Marrying the wrong person. I love these. Having bad business associates. Selecting the wrong job. And the power to not acquit through self-effort. People who inherit money often mishandle it. For example, that was an example to that, right?
Yeah.
So, and lack of capital. But these are all things that can lead to your failure.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, what he pointing out early on was these are just things that you should realize if you have that, and then you address it, you create a plan to eliminate it. So it goes back to my main point of the whole day.
Yeah.
Become aware.
Man.
Like I said, it's not a big deal for me to say, oh, I don't drink. Yeah, it was never hard not to drink. I was never a big fan of it. I don't like to throw up. You threw up. I threw up one time, and I was like, hey, you ain't got to hey, you ain't got to beg me,
Right,
I just won't do it. I found my limit real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. And I it's funny. I made a plan.
Yeah.
It's like, if I have one or two, I don't go there. Cool. It's like, I'm not gonna do it at home, because I will say during the pandemic, it got a little crazy, like I wasn't much of a drinker, but you're just sitting in the house, man. I had got that bottle. Oh man, and it was like, I kid you not, I saw that bottle disappear in 2 days. The big boy with the handlebar on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
That thing disappeared in about 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
we're not gonna go down that lane. You know,
Yeah.
I don't even know why it works normally if I drink like that. It's like, ugh, like it's out of me, you know.
Yeah,
But nah,
yeah.
it was like Captain. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't
Yeah.
like killing me.
Yeah.
But I knew it's not something you want to create. You don't want to create these habits. You don't want to, you know, be down in that downtime. You know, I feel like the pandemic showed a lot of people who they are.
Facts.
The pandemic showed a
Facts.
lot of people who they are. You had to be cooped up with your family. It showed you who your family is.
Facts.
Honestly, if you have one of these problems, it's probably a problem within your family also. You know, so why you may fail is maybe because you're not just being aware to yourself. You're not aware to those around you and your family, those that are close to you, and you can see that this is a perpetuated thing. Like, you know, maybe drinking is just bad in the family. Well, be aware to that. I shouldn't be a drinker.
Yeah.
You know, I shouldn't
Yeah.
make decisions when I'm drinking. I shouldn't, you know, do this when I'm drinking. I definitely shouldn't drive when I'm drinking,
Yeah.
right? So awareness can lead to a lot of things, but then it's the action. It's taking the time to, man, I can't express enough what writing something down would do for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead and write it down.
Facts.
It don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect plan the first time, the second time, the third time. But now you're going to create a consistent action of doing it. And I tell you what, one of them plans going to hit. And then you got a book. But
Yeah.
you know, so I mean that was my take on it. I didn't really go no further than that.
That was good.
Thank
That
you.
was really good. I'm really glad you took that approach for it.
Yeah.
With Think Grow Rich. Mine are also backed up statistics and studies as well. So this is factual information. The first point was done by a psychologist. But I do want to say that was a great point that you just said there.
Thank you.
Because not being aware, I mean that's the killer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the killer. If you're not aware, man, you can forget about life. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause you're not, and that's a great book we're going to touch eventually. The Self-Aware Leader by John C. Maxwell. I can't believe we haven't touched the John C. Maxwell book yet, but that's a topic for another day. I do want to point to that drinking point because it was the complete opposite. I did not need the pandemic to drink. That was much different. We used to have some different conversations back then, you know, because he said he stopped smoking. So how it was for him to stop smoking was how it was for me to stop drinking. I do want to say that because there was a small period of time or over the phone, we would have conversation. He might be smoking, I might be drinking. And he'd be like, I don't know how you're drinking. I'm like, I don't know how you're smoking, but just know the way you're smoking is how I'm drinking. And, and let's
said that.
And let's just say, you know, that wasn't a good year for me. You know what I'm saying? You don't know why? Because I wasn't aware. Because I wasn't aware. Now, to be honest with you, with that awareness point, we really don't have to move any further because I feel like that's also my point of today as well. It's just ultimately being aware. You won't have much of anything in life if you're not aware. You won't have a good relationship if you're not aware of the people that you're choosing, yourself, how you are in relationships. You won't have a good, when I say relationships, I mean with family, friends, personal, all of those relationships. You probably don't have a good job life if you're not aware if the people around you that you work with like you or not. Not saying that they have to like you, but you do have to be cohesive to the environment that you're in and not take away from it. That is a crucial part of being aware, knowing how you fit into a space. Or if you don't fit into a space, not going there. As you touched on, not liking the job that you're in, a crucial part of failure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really glad you took the Napoleon Hill route with that. My point number 2 is goals. More specifically, people aren't setting clear enough goals. There's a great book called Atomic Habits. We're going to touch that eventually. But many people think they lack motivation when what they really lack is clarity. Now, I want to spend some time. For example, people set goals like this. I want to get in better shape. That's not a goal, that's a wish. I want to make that very, very clear. It's not a goal, that's a wish. I want to get in better shape. It's like you saying I want $1 million. It's like you saying I want a sexy girlfriend. It's like you saying I want a better car. It's nothing more than a wish. A true goal is measurable and has a deadline. For example, I want to lose 10 pounds in 4 months. That's a goal. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I feel like that's very, 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 very crucial. We touched on goals earlier in the compound effect video. I really want to make it very, very clear that I want to get in better shape is not a goal. But how many people start their New Year's by posting something somewhere on some platform saying, I'm going to get in better shape this year? You are telling the world that you are wishing that one day this year you wake up and you are not in the shape that you currently are in. And for the most part, you're probably going to be in different shape than what you are in, because you're probably, because you don't have any defined clarity to the goal that you listed, you're probably going to start eating more when you realize that you are not hitting the goal that you hit, that the genie from the bottle is not making you thinner. You're probably going to start eating more out of the fact that mentally you don't feel as good. And what's that going to do? It's going to create a worse shape than you were in. But guess what? You asked life to put you in better shape. And what life did was they looked at your habits and they said, I got you. I'm going to put you in better shape based on what you said. We didn't touch this in the compound effect, but he definitely brought this up in one of the chapters. It might have been momentum, habits, or choices. But he said, and I quote, if you say that I want to get in better shape, but every night you have a bag of Doritos next to you or a Snickers bar, I'm going to believe the Snickers bar. If you say, I want to spend more time around family, but you don't have family in your calendar, I'm going to believe the calendar. If you say, I want to save more money, but you're constantly buying things, I'm going to believe the things that you are buying. It's very crucial that you not judge, but it's very crucial that you look at the people that you're around, your associations that you're around, and judge them based on their actions, not what they say. Because in a group setting, we can all say, I want this, I want that, he wants this, I want that. But if you go home and you say, I want to get in better shape, you're eating Doritos, this person say they want to save money, but they're constantly buying things, and you say, I'm going to be more productive, but you don't have a routine, I'm going to believe all three of your weaknesses, that is who you guys are. And that's what most individuals who are productive would do. Now, number 3, why people are failing in 2024. Excuses. I already touched on this earlier, but a poll of 2,000 Americans found the average respondent makes 6 excuses daily, adding up to 2,000 excuses per year. My mistake, 5 excuses. Top 5 most common excuses. I'm too tired. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. It's too inconvenient. I'm too forgetful. This explains why you're not reaching your goals, point number 2. And when your goals explain why you're not ready to make a change, point number 1. And all 3 of these lead to why people are failing in 2024. Be ready to change. Mentally be ready to change. Set goals. Take action on those goals. Don't allow excuses to hold you back. And that's all I got to say for today.
And that was another wonderful episode. Once again,
Yes,
like, subscribe, please share the video. Honestly, if you enjoyed the video, share it with at least 3 to 4 people.
Yeah.
We're looking to grow, but we only want to grow organically. We only want to
Facts.
reach the people that want to be reached.
Facts.
And that's just the truth of the matter. We're going to end this with some prayer. Actually, let Manny do the prayer. And, just once again, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know how you liked it. Let us know if you didn't like something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't care, but you can let us know, and I'll read it and I'll take it in, man. And I send everybody's blessings. So once again, though, I send all the love out to each and every one of you, and to whether you see this in the short, whether you see this on TikTok, whether you see this on YouTube, whatever the case may be, I love you and have a blessed day.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow us on Instagrams, Mr. Menace Movement and Emmanuel Driscoll.
UW
Media.
UW Media.
Yeah, UW Media and Emmanuel Driscoll Media. I mean, Emmanuel Driscoll. But but with that, go ahead, bow your heads. Now, if you know me from, I believe it was track number 5 or track number 6, track number 4, when I did the prayer, I keep it very, very quick. Kind of like Pastor Mike this year. It's kind of interesting, but I did mine back in December. I said that back in December, so whatever. But dear Heavenly Father, I come before you in my name of Jesus to ask you to bless over all those, to bless over everybody. I pray that some people change their perspective this year, and this becomes the best year of their life, or this becomes one of the best years of their life. I pray that I pray that people who feel like they need something new in their life begin to reevaluate what they have in their hands already and use it to better their current situation. Because oftentimes, God, you give us what we need to better ourselves. So And with that, pray everybody. You bless over everybody in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
We out.